All right. That was just one little quiet bell, but I think that we'll use that to open with. Welcome to Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service for August 11th, 2020. I'm your president, Ashley Sullivan. Thank you so much for being here. Alon, will you show the flag graphic, please? We will have 10 seconds of respectful silence. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Glenda Murray, who will be offering our reflection this morning.
Hi, everybody. One of the good things about meeting by Zoom, we were just talking about how some of us are kind of tired of Zoom meetings, but one of the things is that our presenter can speak to us from anywhere in the world. And today we're pleased to have Alexandra speak to us from Berlin. So one of the other good things about Rotary is that being an international organization means connecting with people all over the world. Growing up in the 1950s and 60s in small town Southern Illinois, I didn't meet that many people from other countries. But the Rotary Club, of which my father was a member, would occasionally have international visitors. I don't remember meeting them in person as a kid because they had meetings and that was it. But Father would talk about who the guest was and where they were from, and I learned vicariously more about other countries. Remember, those were the days when you went to the encyclopedia to look something up, not to the internet. We're somewhat used now to having people from all over from other countries coming to Bloomington or coming to businesses in Bloomington, or to IU or to businesses in Bloomington. Some of our members over the years were people who worked with international students and programs at IU, such as Leo Dowling, Walter Burnham, and Kenneth Rogers. They made sure our club had international guests and that we met those international students. Jim Bright does lots of that for us now, and others. Floyd Arpan, a former director of the State Department's Foreign Journalistic Program, brought a score of international journalists to a meeting every year when they were here. We've been involved as a club in the Rotary Exchange Program for many years. And if my memory is right, Brian Price was a group study exchange person before he ended up becoming a Rotarian. As far as I can find, back in 1968, we sponsored 6 men who studied overseas in that program. In 1972, the Rotary Exchange Program participants spoke at the district conference about their trip to Australia. Those were the 6 men who had been from our area and who had gone. The Australian team was coming later that year in 72 to visit Bloomington. And we had a group study exchange program from Australia just a few years ago. Now I've lost it, but I had my little Australian paper flag that we had that year when they came. We have had many Bloomingtonians who traveled to other countries with the group study exchange program and others who applied for and received ambassadorial scholarships and now the global scholarship program to study abroad. IU has had Rotary International Scholars come here to study, and our club has very often been the host for them. They've enriched our lives, and we've provided a welcoming environment for them in Bloomington. So, in short, the international programs of Rotary have built goodwill, better friendship, and have been beneficial to all concerned. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Linda. Right. Would you like to introduce?
I'm done.
Would you like to introduce any visiting Rotarians and guests today?
Yeah, thank you, President Ashley. First of all, we're pleased to have 5 members of our speaker, Alex Starry's family. They are Alex's mom, Melissa, Alex's dad, Joe, Alex's cousin, Jamie, Alex's aunt, Diane Nuremberg, and Alex's grandmother, Yvonne Starry. So welcome to the Starry family. Also, we're pleased to have with us here today a very special guest, Alex's host club past president, George Brenninkmeyer, who's joining us from Berlin, I believe. George just got back from a motorcycle trip in Austria, and I think he needs to be in Sturgis this week, maybe, I'm not sure. Let's see, also we have with us today IU Bloomington Rotary Club member, past president Maren McClellan. Maren, always good to have you with us. We have Elizabeth Thompson Rodemaker. Elizabeth, great to have you, past member of our club. And also joining to say hello to George is my wife, Ann Bright. George and his wife, Christina, treated us royally to a day at the Berlin Yacht Club when we were there taking care of business and looking after Alex. So welcome to all of our guests. Did I miss anybody?
I don't think so. Welcome to all. If we missed you, please speak up. Okay, some housekeeping. Thanks to our producers, Alon Barker and Michael Shermis, and our roundabout reporter for this week is Jim Bright. Birthdays, Ken Sparks, August 11th, and membership anniversaries, Judy DeMuth, 19 years with 9 of those years in our club, and Jean Emery, 18 years. Congratulations. Now we will have a special presentation by Mike Baker.
Good afternoon, everyone. You've probably heard me and many people talk about the Rotary Foundation and what it's all about, and why when someone is recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow, it has meaning. And it's because of what Rotary International does in the world, all the different programs. Today, I'd like to say that to me, the Rotary Foundation is all about the math. And you'll know why I said that, won't you, Bill? But it is the math. The math of dollars coming in from Rotarians all over the world helps build the kitty for not only the good things done internationally, but also the money that comes back to our club through different grants and stuff like that. So it's very vital. Today, I'm happy to present our fellow Rotarian, Bill Murphy, with his Paul Harris II recognition. And as a former math teacher, I know Bill knows what +2 means. For Rotary International, it does mean continuing so many good humanitarian programs and helping those in need. Bill's always stepped forward to help our club, and his continued generosity speaks volumes of his service above self attitude. Today, it gives me great pleasure to present Bill, at least virtually, with his Paul Harris Fellow +2 pen. And I hope that the club will join me in congratulating and thanking Bill for his commitment to Rotary and Rotary International. Please join me in recognizing Bill Murphy.
Congratulations, Bill. We can't hear you. If you wanted to say a few words.
Well, I've got my pen on. Natalie dropped it off this morning, so I've got it on, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you for your service to the club.
You're welcome.
In other exciting Rotary news, it was just announced last week that Rotary International Nominating Committee has unanimously nominated Jennifer Jones of the Rotary Club of Windsor-Roseland in Ontario, Canada, to be the first woman president of Rotary International for the 2022-2023 year. Woohoo! That is such a major accomplishment to be celebrated, and I am so proud to be a part of this change that's happened, and the future of Rotary is very bright. So there's more information, background on Jennifer, and that'll be in the roundabout. Look out for that. And this is why it is so important to make our voices heard to Rotary International leadership. It matters so much, and I would like to urge you to take this opportunity to share a personal note in support of the resolution against racism that we shared as a club. I would encourage us all to send it individually to John Huco and others in leadership positions. their contact information and an example message will be distributed for your use. So look out for that. I think that if we all join together and send that, then it'll be amplified that much more. So please do that. Okay, there's another announcement here. The Brown County Rotary Club's 5th annual Taste of Art is moving online. It features 60 original contemporary and heritage paintings by well-known and respected Brown County and Indiana artists. It's in support of Rotary local youth development and other community and international programming. So bids for these works will be accepted starting today, with the final bidding on August 29th. And the link to visit that is their website, rotaryclubofbrowncounty.org. That'll all be in the roundabout as well. They are making appointments for live previews scheduled for Thursday, August 27th. And the Mike Laris from the Rotary Club says it's their only fundraiser and they need to make it as successful as possible. So let's help them out. We're all in this together. I would like to announce that also on Thursday, August 27th, we'll be having our first social gathering together. We will be getting together to socially engage at a physical distance. It's at the Karst Park Shelter number 9 from 5:30 to 7:30. And further details will be going out. There are picnic tables available, but bring your own chair for comfort. Please wear a mask. We'll provide some bottled water and hand sanitizer and some entertainment of a very casual variety. So come prepared to have fun and see each other and socialize at a distance. One last reminder here, the pledge survey will be, the deadline is this Friday, August 14th. So please make your voice and opinion heard there. And then Rotary Leadership Institute is also going virtual. Please take advantage of this opportunity. You don't have to travel very far to attend, and it's open for all Rotarians, brand new or many, many years in the club. So there are different levels coming out. The sign up will be in the roundabout, but they're throughout September and October dates. Okay, volunteering service spotlight. So we have at least one opportunity every month. We have 4 opportunities right now. Helping Hands is always ongoing. They're looking for more pantry deliveries and that kind of thing to be filled. So the link is in the roundabout for you to sign up for that. We have 3 slots available for Community Kitchen this Friday that need to be filled. And I'm going to put the link to sign up in the chat here. There you go. If you would like to sign up for that, we had one last week, went really well. They're so happy to have our support. So please sign up for a shift. We also have one spot on the 28th available. Friends of Lake Monroe has ongoing opportunities. That link will be included in the roundabout again, trash pickup, and they also have a survey opportunity on September 18th. And Teachers Warehouse is always needing support. They're in a very busy time right now, and they could use volunteers Monday through Friday. Volunteers at teacherswarehouse.org is where to send your interest. Please email them and pick up a few shifts. And that being said, it is time for Happy Dollars, and all of the proceeds for Happy Dollars go to the Teachers Warehouse.
I'd like to give a couple Happy Dollars in honor of my former student, Lindsay Owens, who was announced today as the new editor of the Washington Times-Herald.
Nice.
I have some Happy Dollars. Today, the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Indiana, Suzanne Crouch, announced that $10 million of federal CARES funds that went to the state will be going to local arts and cultural organizations. And not only is that amazing news for us, but Indiana is one of a handful of states around the nation that have spent some CARES money on their local arts and cultural sector. So yay for us.
Hooray.
I'd like to give a Happy Dollar for my friendship with Owen Johnson.
I have a happy dollar for Jennifer Jones, the first RI president who is female. I really feel like our club's resolution a couple of years ago might have played a small role in that. And also, I met her and her husband at the RI conference in Brazil, and he heard him speak. He himself is deaf, and he owns several fast food restaurants and makes an effort to hire people with disabilities in his restaurants, and he's speaking about that. So I think we have not only women, but a disability advocate at the top.
I have a happy dollar to match Sarah's happy dollar for the same reason.
And I do also. And I want the club to know that one of the many things that we do as a club is have a vote to elect the nominating committee for the zone. And it's the nominating committee for the zone that decides, the nominating representative that decided to get, to break that barrier, that glass ceiling. And we played a role because we specifically cast our votes intending to give them to the nominating nominee who was most likely to promote the idea of a woman president. So you all did have a role in that, including the resolution from, and Sarah and Mike Baker. That was just an incredible thing, and it's really noticed and it's really appreciated nationally and I think internationally that what we did. So thank you all.
And I would also like to donate 5 happy dollars to the cause. I'm going to be fortunate enough to be in my district governor year when Jennifer also takes place. So I'm really excited to be a part of the history as we move forward.
I contribute $5 for the historical occasion of electing a woman to be president of the International Rotary Club. It is a moment of cheer and joy.
I think I would also like to contribute. I think I'll round up to a $10 contribution in honor of Rotary's finally getting sufficient wisdom from whatever sources to nominate a woman for Rotary International President.
This is Glenda, and I also will donate $10 to the cause. One of the things I didn't say during the reflection was in all those years as I was growing up, of course, Rotary was a men's organization only. So of course I didn't get to go hear whoever my father's Rotary Club had as a guest. Yeah. So progress.
And I this is Charlotte. I as you have said before, I wasn't allowed to speak at Rotary clubs when I ran for Congress because I was a woman, and that was a distinctive disadvantage. So I was very happy to be one of the first people in Rotary, and I want to add another $20 just to in favor of my maxim, which if nothing happens until somebody does something, and you all did something, and that we've got to remember that. You think it can't be done, well, if nothing happens until somebody does it.
Hear, hear. Anyone else? A lot to be happy about today. All right. Well, I would like to introduce Jim Bright to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, President Ashley. And joining us today from her apartment halfway around the world in Berlin, Germany, is Rotary scholar Alex Starry. Alex had planned to be here in person today, but something got in the way, something called the coronavirus. While at IU's School of Public and Environmental Affairs, Alex served as an intern in the Washington, D.C. office of then Congresswoman, now Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. After graduating from IU in December of 2014, Alex was a Peace Corps volunteer in Lesotho, a country surrounded by South Africa. And while in Lesotho, Alex taught more than 200 boys and girls life skills and HIV education. In 2018, Alex's mom, Melissa, who is with us here today with other family members, saw a story in the Herald Times about our district offering a $40,000 global grant scholarship. And Alex decided to go for it. She beat out two other finalists to become our 2019-2020 Global Grant Scholar. She recently completed her master's degree in public policy from the Hertie School of Governance in Berlin. And through her master's thesis, Alex explored the impact of Indiana's Needle Exchange Program. Now, as Charlotte Zitlow, Kate Cruikshank, Scott Shackelford, and other members of our district scholarship committee will tell you, we were determined to find someone special, someone dedicated to making a difference in our world. And as you're about to find out, we found the right person, that special person, in Alex Starry. Fellow Rotarians, please welcome, all the way from Berlin, Germany, Alex Starry.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. You always somehow make me blush. So first I want to, is it possible to get the permission to share my screen?
Sure, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, you should have it by now.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. Okay, now I wanted to say thank you guys for having me virtually. I really was looking forward to come home this summer and to get to do all of these Rotary talks in person. But now I guess part of that is when in January, I was only planning on talking to about 7 or 8 clubs. And now by the end of September, I'll talk to almost 15. So it's actually a kind of blessing in disguise. I get to meet more people. So I want to thank you guys for having me. And today I was going to talk about my time before Germany, during Germany, and my Rotary experience for the past year. So, and then afterwards, open it up for questions. So before Germany, like Jim said, I went to IU, born and raised in Bloomington. So going to IU is like a very natural decision, and got my degree in public financial management. And SPIA has a really great program called the Washington Leadership Program. Some of you guys might know this, where you intern for full time in DC. And I interned for Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth, who's now the senator in Illinois. And she's a war veteran, and she's very committed to the cause of Veterans Affairs and also foreign policy. So interning for her really gave me, being able to talk with her really opened my eyes to the foreign policy realm and then the international development realm as well. While I was interning for her, I got to talk with John Kerry as well. And so this really opened my eyes up to the idea of Peace Corps. So this is one of the reasons why I graduated a semester early, because of the application deadlines for Peace Corps. And 4 months after graduating, I went to Lesotho, which is a very tiny country inside of South Africa, only 2 million people. So it's about the third of the size of Indiana, if we want to like compare it in those kind of terms. Lesotho has the second highest prevalency rate for HIV, 25%. So 1 in 4 people have HIV. And my role there was doing HIV mitigation campaigns and implementing US initiatives such as PEPFAR. And then while I was there, First Lady Michelle Obama introduced the Let Girls Learn initiative. So I also helped implement that within the projects that I was running already. And one of the events that we did with my community, I think there were about 4 or 5 organizations that helped put this carnival on, We did a World AIDS Day Carnival in 2015 for about 600 participants. Here is my host sister, the one in the hat. And so there were 600 participants and 75% of them got tested that day, which was a great turnout. Yeah, so this was in my village. And then my non-one-off events. So I did about 5 different events, campaigns throughout the 2 years. But the one thing that I really enjoyed and loved was my life skills class. So every week, about 4 days a week, I taught in a local high school, 200 kids, like Jim was saying. And we focus on life skills. So not just safe sex, but also goal setting and any issues that they wanted to talk about. It was really like an open space. So it was really nice to get to know the local people in my community and for them to, for me to integrate with them a little bit more. And so while I was there, I did a summer camp for them because that was one of the things they asked me all year round was, can we do a summer camp? Can we do something where we spend the night at the school? Because they've never done that before. And so we did a bro camp for the boys and a glow camp for the girls. And we had about 40 boys and 40 girls spend the night. And we just did just like any summer camp that any of us have ever been to. So it was a lot of fun to get to know them even better. And then for the World AIDS Day 2016, there was actually a worldwide campaign, Hands Up for HIV Prevention. And so Peace Corps this year decided to take the Lesotho Peace Corps cohort, we decided to take part in this worldwide campaign. And these are some pictures from the kids. Some were from my high school class, some were from the village. And it was open to everyone. And it was all about just education behind how to mitigate HIV and safe sex. And so then after 2 years in Lesotho, I just went home for about 4 months and wanted to continue my journey abroad. I wanted to continue within the foreign policy, public policy sphere, as well as the international development sphere. And so I decided to move to Germany in 2017, the summer of 2017, to a small town north of Frankfurt. It's about an hour north of Frankfurt called Marburg. I spent the year teaching English and learning German. So that was all I did for the year, was teaching English part-time and learning German. So this was a really great experience to really just get to know the German culture a little bit better and more of the traditional German culture as well. Because then the following year, I moved to Berlin, which is not as traditional German as some people may know when you're traveling around. Germany is very international. I applied to go to the Heritage School of Governance, which is a 2-year master's program for public policy. They have public policy and Masters of International Affairs. So I joined the public policy program, and Heritage is really interesting because even though it's here in Berlin, only 30% of the students are German, and the rest of them are international. So my best friends are from China, India, Pakistan. Yeah, those are my best friends. And then there's also some that they come from all over Latin America, all over Europe, because Berlin is a very attractive place for a lot of Europeans as well. So it was really interesting when you're talking about public policy, because I did some public policy in my undergraduate as well, but it was very US centric. So how does the US handle public policy, healthcare, education, and such? So this was really interesting because we got to look at how other countries are also handling the healthcare system, the education system, and not just how the US is looking at it. So it gives a more global perspective on all of the issues that every country is facing. And then during my first year, I was the chair of the European Public Policy Conference. This was the 11th annual Public Policy Conference. My university puts it on every year. And so my team and I decided to host the conference in Madrid, Spain. And we get to pick the topic, we get to recruit the speakers and do all of the marketing and campaigning for this conference. So it was really entertaining. It was really fun and entertaining, and I learned a lot. We chose to do it on the digitalization of urban cities. Is this a good thing? What are the consequences to this? Data protection, all of what encompasses this. So we had about 15 speakers from all across Europe, and then about 100 participants who came for this 3-day long conference, which was a really fun experience to get to meet people from all over. As well as, it's not a great picture of me, but I would say this was in October of last year, when Mayor Pete Buttigieg was on his campaign trail for the nomination, for the Democratic nomination. He did a talk with all of the Democrats Abroad, which is an organization abroad that allows Americans who are abroad to vote. And they also do a lot of campaigning for the candidates. So here was like pretty much like a city hall, a virtual city hall that we got to sit and talk with him, listen to his ideas. And that was like the best for me, because in my cohort at my university, I am the only person from Indiana, and I'm one of 2 people from the Midwest. So it's always a different perspective when you're coming from the Midwest, and it was great to have another Hoosier alongside there. So also my school, so also the World Health Summit every year is in Berlin. They have regional meetings throughout the world, but every year the World Health Summit is in Berlin, and my university heritage sent about 10 of us to the conference, and it was great. So polio was brought up, and the fight for that last part of it that you guys are all very aware of as being part of Rotary, and the malaria, vaccines, malnutrition, everything was just, and how healthcare is financed at a national level, international level. So this was a great opportunity to get to learn this more on a global scale. Health is a huge part of my interest and my background, like especially health policy. So this was a great experience. Also, while I was here, 2019 marked the 30th anniversary of the fall of the wall. So around October, a couple of months before, a couple of months afterwards, it was very much throughout the city. There were a lot of events and cultural events that were happening around this anniversary. So it was great to be here for that. And one of the things that there was this around the October 3rd date, we had this art installation that was at the Brandenburger Tor all the way down. I wish it was so massive, it was hard to get a great picture of it, but then you could walk underneath it and write on the streamers. And this was great. You could spend hours just like walking around reading all the different streamers and everything. And it was just a very immense feeling walking around it. The middle picture here, the streamer says, "I wish there was more peace on the whole world, throughout the whole world." So this was really impactful to walk through. As well as Berlin has had quite a few, I don't know how many are following the Friday for Futures campaign around climate change with Greta Thunberg. Germany and especially Berlin have been doing it every Friday. They started this last year. She came to Berlin, and then the kids would take off every Friday and march around the streets of Berlin. So it was always great to see. There was lots of people out. I worked with some parents who would also leave to go pick their kids up from school on Fridays and take them to this protest. So it was great to just see like youth activism at its finest, really. As well as, since I'm presenting in Bloomington, I had to say this, but IU has a European gateway here in Berlin. So it's, they also have one in Mexico City and one in India, but here, they do a really great job of keeping the alumni really close together, and we do a bunch of events together. And so Alba, which is the Berlin basketball team here, was playing against someone who used to be an IU player, Jordy Halls. So he plays in the he plays in the Berlin or the German league now. And so we all got, Jordy Halls was there when I was at IU. So I was really excited to get to see him play again. And so we all got ready to go to the game. And then we found out he was injured and wasn't going to play. But it was still a really fun day to get to see him, to get to be there with a bunch of IU alums. And yeah, so then I wanted to talk about my Rotary experience. Jim has already mentioned it a little bit, how I got to partake in the international convention last year in Hamburg. And I met a few of you there. I see some familiar faces here on the Zoom that I've met while I was there. Here I was at the district dinner with Jessica, Melissa, and Santana here. And so it was really great to get to meet people from Indiana. I was given I was selected as the recipient of the scholarship in January and was able to attend this in June. So it was really great to just see people from my own district and get them to get to know me and me to get to know them and to get to know Rotary International. I spent the whole time going into, if no one's ever been to an international convention, I definitely think everyone should. It's great to see all the projects that are happening internationally and everyone you get to talk to. And George, who's on the call, gave us a tour of Wannsee and Potsdam, and it was actually really wonderful. He took us out on his boat and gave us a tour and was able to point out all of the historical significant sites around the lake, and also in Potsdam as well. So this was wonderful to get to spend the day. I'm a huge history buff, so being able to do that was a wonderful experience. Here we're in Potsdam and so Jim and Ann were able to come to Berlin for a couple of days and get to see where I'd be studying, where I was living. So yeah. And then as well as being connected to Rotary here in Berlin, I joined a Rotaract club, Rotaract Berlin International, that meets every Wednesday. And here, I'm terrible at taking pictures, but here we were, they don't have a specific location that they meet. So every Wednesday in the month is a different activity. So this, they were doing for 6 months, we were doing for 6 months, where once a month we would go to a different culinary restaurant. So here we're at an Ethiopian restaurant, and one of the members would give a presentation on Ethiopia, the food we were going to eat, and give us more of a context. So that was really fun, and it was a great way to get to know everyone as well. Also, this club does, one of the social projects that they do is that we once a month go to the Book Refugee Housing Center, which is about an hour, 45 minutes outside of Berlin. And we do arts and crafts with the kids, as well as do German language skills with them. So they're helping me learn German because they're wonderful at German and they're getting to know it. And it was great to just be around them all day long. Yeah, so we were doing this once a month before Corona hit, of course. Another activity that I took a part in was in January. The Rotaract International Club is partnered with a different Rotary club here than my host club. And they invited us to a curling tournament, which was like a fundraiser. So I went, we made a team of 4 and did a curling tournament. The whole tournament lasted 3 hours and I was out and my team was out in 30 minutes. We did not do very well, but it was great to meet other Rotarians in Berlin and get to connect with them. So yeah, this was in January and that's really my story now. I graduated and got my diploma in July and now I'm in the job market, so yeah. So I want to open it up to any questions, any inquiries, or something that I might have talked too fast.
I have a question.
Okay.
I could ask 5 or 6 questions because I have missionaries that leave Lesotho this spring because of the virus. But I was in Berlin about 20 years ago, and I was in a Rotary Club in a different city and state. So I went to the Rotary Club. It was in East Berlin, the former East. But when I inquired, they said, the only people here are from the West. I'm wondering if in those years, has Rotary been able to develop in East Berlin? Because at that point, they were not active at all in the former eastern part of the city.
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if George heard that question and he knows the answer to that, but because I also was only part of, George, do you know?
Yeah, we nowadays have at least 30 Rotary clubs in Berlin, and it took a while, but now it's all intermingled, East and West. It really took a while, but because the cultures were so completely different, you know, and but nowadays it's getting normal. Yes, it's that situation that you found out those days, Timothy. It's not anymore.
Alex, I'd like to.
I'm sorry.
Alex, I'd like to ask a follow-up question.
Owen, can you hold for a second?
Sure.
George was going to say a few words
Okay.
to end on and then we'll pick right up with the questions.
Okay.
That's okay. George, go ahead.
Okay. I want to say it's great to be in this group. I see 54 persons. It's the biggest Zoom meeting I ever had. Yes, and you're doing it all very professional, I must say. Yes, but thanks to Jim and Alexandra, I'm participating in the group now, and I'm very glad that I was asked to in Berlin to take care and have a look at Alexandra, how Alexandra is doing. Yeah, and I must say it was great. Yes, I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity, and yes, it's good for Alexandra to have known that. Yes, that there was always a contact with Rotary and the Rotarian spirit, and that she found out the Rotarian spirit and the contact with Rotaract, and she knew that it was possible to, she got my WhatsApp and telephone number to phone me at any time of the day, night, if there would be something. So it's really like for Alexander, or for somebody like Alexander, to have a home, Rotarian home, outside somewhere in the world, yes, and to have this possibility, this warm feeling from people that never met before, but from the other side, I mean, I see you on the screen and I have the feeling I've met you before, and we're all carved out of the same wood, I think, yeah. And that's given me goosebumps now.
Wow, thank you so much, George. And thank you for hosting Alex. I'm sure she was in very, very good hands. Okay, Owen, sorry to interrupt. Let's have your question.
Okay, and I'm sorry, George, for talking over you. Alex, I first want to mention that I'm delighted that you swam at Bloomington North. My daughter did that probably about 15 years before you did with a different coach, and I know you loved Dave Tanner. But what I want to ask is a follow-up. What's your experience with and feeling about the nationalist movement that has developed in the eastern part of Germany?
Going for the hard questions early, Owen. Okay. For me, it's not just in Eastern Germany, like it's coming all over Germany, and you can see it at the national level. And so for me, I wasn't raised in Germany and such, but having talks with native Germans who have been raised within the kind of the sphere of the government, it's definitely worrying some. I'm curious to see how the elections will come, because German elections are a year after the American elections. And so we'll see how it goes, but it's definitely worrying some.
I'd like to ask you about, you said you're job searching. Of course, this is a very difficult time to be looking for a job, but with your background and your interests, are you looking throughout the world? Are you looking at could you talk a little about that?
Yeah, so for me, for my personal level, Germany does a really great program to where if you study here, if you get your education here, you're automatically awarded a 18-month visa, a job searching visa. And so I'm switching into that visa now because it's probably the best visa at this moment for me to job search, and it gives me a little bit more security here in Germany. And I'm not limited. Like, I'm looking worldwide. I'm looking at major organizations, small organizations. My area that I really would like to go into is monitoring and evaluation. And yeah, so I'm starting that process now of all the research and everything.
I have a question, Alex. What is your daily life like now with coronavirus in Berlin?
Yeah, now it's actually getting back to normal a little bit. We went on a full lockdown in March where everything was shut down, restaurants, bars. Basically, the only thing that was open was grocery stores. And so we spent about 3 months in that full lockdown. I didn't take public transportation once. So I only left my house to go to the grocery store and to maybe do a walk around just to stretch my legs. And that was it. So now it's actually it's a lot better. Lifestyle wise, we're able to move around a lot better. Everyone's wearing a mask, or you're supposed to wear a mask. The police will fine you if you're not wearing a mask in public transport. But numbers are starting to rise again. So we're being a little bit cautious. I'm being very cautious about where we're going and what we're doing every day. So.
So did you say you're interested in monetary evaluation?
Yes.
What does that mean? I just read the book about the Deutsche Bank, and is that widely understood over there, that there's been a real serious crisis with the Deutsche Bank?
Yes, that is definitely something that people are looking at. I think it's an international, it's on everyone's radar at that point. But for the monitoring and evaluation within the international development realm, this is more of looking at if programs are working and they're doing what they're intended to be doing on a quantitative, qualitative level. A lot of times within NGOs, they are on this grant cycle. And so they are just applying for grants to make ends meet. And then the grant is very specific about what they're allowed to do, but no one knows if that program is actually working the way it's supposed to be doing. Are kids going to school more? Are kids getting, is the HIV level coming down? So this is what I'm more interested in, more of the analysis of the program.
So did your college, did they give you good programs in that?
Yeah, one of the classes I took was monitoring and evaluation for the Mexican government. The Mexican government, our professor was an economist for the World Bank, and he was working with the Mexican government at the time. And we basically did a consultation project for them. They had 6 projects that they were about to roll out, social projects that they were about to roll out. And the project that I was working on was microfinancing, the microcredits. That's also big within the Rotary International. They have their own section on that. And how to implement this, like how would you monitor this program? How do we know if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing? So we worked in teams of 4 and did this for a whole semester. So this was one of the classes that I took.
Good. So that was a good choice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. Alex, what you were working on the needle exchange program in Southern Indiana. Tell us what you found out about that.
Yeah, so I did a very quantitative look at it. So this is something that you should never do solely. You should never just do a quantitative look at the data and everything. You should have to look at the whole holistic picture. And Monroe County is actually one of the best practice counties, actually, because They have a partnership with the prosecutor who isn't going to arrest or isn't going to charge someone if they're caught with a needle, which is not the same in all the other counties. So it's kind of a conflicting interest. You have this program in the county, but at the same time, you can be arrested and go to jail for 6 years for having a needle on you. And so I looked at all of the barriers to the program and why were the numbers not reflecting the success of the program. So yeah, it's a very deep multi-layer issue, but for me, my biggest thing is that Indiana has to get rid of this legislation that it's a felony to have a needle on you if they ever want this program to work.
Thank you.
Alex, I have a question for you. Your time in Lesotho was very different from probably everything else that you've experienced. And many of us have never had an opportunity to spend 2 years in such a different country with so many different experiences. Can you tell us how that impacted your view of the world?
Yeah, it's something that is also, when I was in Lesotho, it's also being brought up now with these anti-racist movements, but the idea of the colonization of the development world and the development work. And so I realized this within a lot of the projects that not only does the US implement, but with all different NGOs that are working within countries is this neo-colonialism aspect to it. And now that I've left Lesotho, I really want to like dismantle these parts of international development. It's something that's very ingrained in international development, but putting resources into local organizations, allowing them to do what they can do and having that local connection is so imperative to the project. That's what I realized when I was there, is that if you are able to like connect on a personal level with a community, you're able to do a lot more with them. And I learned Sesotho better than I know German now just because I had to, and I really still have some of the best friends that are living there. So
thank you. Amazing.
So may I clarify that what you're saying is that people should make, and our programs that are brought in by international NGOs might not apply as well as those that are developed locally. Is that correct?
Might not, yeah, exactly. Like you just have to do your due diligence on the program and on the organization. Some organizations are very decentralized and already working at a very local level. So it's all about doing that kind of that due diligence on it. But as decentralized as possible is a very good approach to international development. And
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Of course. To some people.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It sounds as if you were a good choice.
Thank you guys so much for choosing me.
You did a good
great
job.
year.
Yeah. Very wonderful.
Thank you so much, Alex, for that presentation. In honor of your presentation today, we'll be giving a donation to Teachers Warehouse. Can you stay for a few minutes after we close in case there are more questions?
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. All right. I would like to introduce Sally Gaskell to tell us about next week's program.
Okay, next week we're continuing to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, and we'll have two speakers, both of whom are people living with disabilities, and they're going to talk about how that is, share their insights. Adria Nassim is a well-known columnist covering autism and disability-related issues for the Herald Times. And Michael Ely, also of Bloomington, is well known for his work with self-advocacy and advocacy for others. He's a graduate of Ivy Tech. So looking forward to that next week.
Great.
Thanks, Sally. Okay, let's close the meeting by reciting the four-way test, +1.
Da-da-da-da.
For some reason, I can't get that on my screen. So go ahead and start speaking, and then we'll get it on the screen as we're all talking.
Okay. Of the things
we
think,
think, say, or do.
First,
is it the truth? Second, is it concern? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And
Fourth, beneficial to all concerned.
And fifth, is it fun?
Fun.
that